Hey Digital Art, so this week we're going to actually start an introduction to a new program that we're going to be using a lot more of for the rest of the time that we will be doing online learning. So this week's is going to be a program called PhotoPea.com, which actually works very similar to Photoshop. It has a lot of the same features such as layers. It allows you to bring in photos and edit them. So we're going to use this week as an introduction to that tool. So we're just going to kind of use it to get used to the aspects of this program. So what you're going to need this week is you're going to need your computer or your tablet. You're going to need photopea.com, and you're going to need the color wheel on this slide. So we're going to talk about this color wheel for just a moment. Color wheels are tools used by artists to select colors based on their relationships, and it also helps them figure out what colors they need to get certain colors, so to mix certain colors. And you might be wondering why that pertains to us if we don't physically mix colors. Well, the way colors are organized on digital programs is very similar to how they're organized on a color wheel. So to navigate them, you need to know which colors you need to make other colors as well. And it's also very important for designers so they know which colors will contrast each other well, which ones will make more pleasant designs, things like that. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our new program. You're going to click on the photopea.com link, and this screen will come up. When this screen comes up, all you're going to do is click New Project. When you click New Project, this is the screen that will pop up. Over in the top left, you're going to put Color Wheel as the name of your new file. You're going to change pixels to inches. And we're going to make this file 10 inches by 10 inches. The DPI, the resolution, is just going to be 72 for now. And the background's going to be white. You leave that the same, and you click the button Create. Now, we have our square. And as you can see, this looks a little similar to Photoshop in that you have your layers in the right corner, in the lower right corner. You have your tools to the left, and you have your option bar at the top. And I'm going to walk you through just a couple of these tools today. And then as we go on, we'll get more and more into them. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the shape tool. The shape tool is set as a rectangle right now. So I'm going to click on this. And when I click on it, you see this tiny little arrow right here that tells me there's more tools in there. So as you see, there's the ellipse tool, the line tool, and the custom shape. We're going to go ahead and make an ellipse. We're going to make a circle. So I'm going to make a large circle for my color wheel. Now, when I make this circle, it's not positioned correct. So I need to switch to the move tool, which is the arrow tool at the very top. And I'm going to go ahead and position it in the center. And this is going to be the wheel for my color wheel. But here's the problem. I don't want it to be solid red. We want it to be transparent. I have to click the shape tool again, which is now a circle because we used an ellipse. And at the top, I see where it says fill. I don't need it to be filled with anything. So I'm going to click none. Now the problem is it's just a transparent circle. It doesn't have an outline. Stroke is what refers to the outline. So I'm going to click on stroke. And the solid red is actually what means solid color. So I'm going to click on that, and then I can change it to black. And there is the wheel for my color wheel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make 3 shapes for my 3 primary colors. And I'm going to have some fun with this. So I'm going to go back to the shape tool. And I can use a rectangle, I can use a parametric shape, or I can use a custom shape. I'm going to go to the custom shape tool. And I'm going to pick a custom shape. I need to use 3 of these for red, yellow, and blue. So let's say I go through and I'm going to pick these raindrops for my 3 primary colors. So I'm going to click and drag a raindrop. And I'm going to fill this with red. Primary color, red. I'm going to go back to the move tool and move it to the top of my circle. Now I need 2 more just like this. Little trick. I can left click, duplicate my layer, And there's another one, exactly the same. But I need this to be yellow. So when I click on this shape, I need to go back to the shape tool that's in the bottom of my toolbar, which is right now a star because I'm using the custom shape tool. I'm going to go to fill, and I can change it to yellow. And there's my yellow color. Now I'm going to do that again. So duplicate layer so I can make my blue. And always click the shape tool again so you can go back to the color options for your shape tool. I'm going to go to the move tool, and I'm going to try to position these about a third of the way apart. Now there is one thing about PhotoPea that's a little different than Photoshop. You always have to click on the layer you want to move. So in Photoshop, if you clicked on one object, it automatically would just know that was the layer you wanted to touch, or that you wanted to change. But with PhotoPea, you actually need to come back to the layers and always select the layer you want to manipulate. Okay? So that's our primary colors. Now for my secondary colors, I'm going to go back to the shape tool, and I'm going to pick a new shape. And you can have as much fun with these shapes as you want. Whichever shapes you want to use for primary, secondary, or tertiary is completely up to you. So for the next one, I'm going to select a different shape, and I'm actually going to use a star. So I'm going to click and drag a star, and for this one is going to be orange. Now there's no orange in the presets. I'm going to click on the yellow, and this gives me the color picker. I'm going to find the orange I need, and I can navigate the top and bottom, and here as well. Now, as you drag out, this will give you more white to the color. This will give you more black. So if you want to stay true to the color, the top right corner is usually the best spot. And there's my orange. So the orange is going to go in between red and yellow. Now, I'm going to duplicate the layer again. So now I have one for green, but I need to change the color. So I'm going to click on the shape tool again and fill and change it to green. And I'm going to repeat the process for purple. And there is my basic color wheel. Now I'm going to take a minute, and I'm actually going to move some of these around just a little bit so I have a little bit more room for my tertiary colors, because I actually still have 6 more colors to add to my color wheel. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and move those around, and they're pretty evenly spaced. I'm going to select one more different custom shape tool. And I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to click and drag my new custom shape. And place that where I would like it to go on my color wheel. Now here's the thing. In between red and orange is a color called red-orange. So I'm going to select the shape tool again. And this time, when I go in to get a color, I need something that's more red. So I'm going to drag the color picker closer to red so I can get a darker orange. And there is my red-orange. So it's lighter than this red, but darker than that orange. Now, when I do this again for yellow-orange, which is the next tertiary color, I'm going to do this the other way. I'm going to go closer to yellow. And now I have my yellow-orange. So I'm going from red, red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, yellow. So the next one's going to be yellow-green. I'm going to duplicate that layer and put it in between yellow and green. And double click to my color picker. And I'm going to go to green, and I'm going to drag this a little closer to yellow than to blue, and click OK. And there's my yellow-green. And I'm going to repeat that again for my blue-green. And as you do this, you're going to want to move your shapes around your color wheel a little bit to help you out. And that is perfectly fine. Sometimes I tell people to wait until the very, very end when they've gotten all their colors and shapes selected, so that way they can kind of change things as they need to. So with my blue-green, I want to make sure I'm going closer to the blue than the yellow. And there's my blue-green. And then the next color is going to be blue-violet, which is a little tricky on a digital platform. So we're going to talk about that for a second. When I go to violet, violet's in between the red or the magenta and the blue or the cyan, whichever way you want to call it. So I'm going to find a red, or I'm sorry, I'm going to find a blue-violet. It is a little closer to the blue. And when I look at this, I see it's a little bit more blue than the purple. So I'm pretty happy with that. And remember, Control-0 will bring you back out. And then I have one last color, which is going to be my red-violet. I'm going to select the shape tool again, go back to the color picker, and make sure I am getting closer to the red than the blue for my red-violet. And for this, it's actually going to come out a little bit more magenta, which is actually very true to the digital world of color, as opposed to the painter world of color. So don't worry about that. When you are done, what you should do is you should take a minute, arrange your shapes correctly within your color wheel. So if you wanted to take a couple minutes, move some of them around, always make sure you actually click on the layer to the right. Again, that's something very different from Photoshop into this program, where Photoshop just kind of knew what layer or object you were trying to click on. PhotoPea doesn't. So it's a little extra clicking, but it works out pretty nicely. And also, you can arrange your layers and drag them up and down just like you would in Photoshop though. So I'm going to scoot some of these around a little bit. And when I'm happy with the positioning for all of my colors in my color wheel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to download your file. So here's my file. I'm happy with it. I'm ready to submit it. I'm going to go ahead and go up to File at the top. And you're going to go to Export As. So this is not Save As or anything like that. Export As. You're going to click JPEG. And this is going to come up, this new window. And it's basically asking, are you sure this is what you want? It's a JPEG. It shows me the specifics. I click Save. It's going to instantly save this to the computer or device you're using. Once you are done, if you're a little bit nervous, you can take a screenshot of your project and send that too, in case you're worried it might not save or it might not download. Or if you're on a different device and you're like, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, take a screenshot and you can use that as well. And then what you will do is you'll go to our Google Classroom and submit your color wheel. And I will see you guys next week or